In the frozen heart of the Arctic, ships have vanished without a trace, leaving behind no crew, no messages, just silence and ice. The Arctic doesn't whisper, it howls. It groans under centuries of ice and isolation. But sometimes, the silence is louder, like when a crew vanishes from a ship, perfectly intact, drifting alone. These are the ghost ships of the Arctic, and their stories are chilling. Buzz Whispers presents Ghost Ships of the Arctic. Where did they go? A tale of frostbitten mystery, unanswered questions, and the haunting echoes of crews lost to history. The story begins in the mid-1800s with the British Royal Navy. Two ships, HMS Erebus and HMS Terror, proud vessels of exploration. Both vanished during Sir John Franklin's 1845 expedition to chart the Northwest Passage. They were never seen again, at least not alive. Search parties were dispatched, dozens. Over decades, what they found painted a nightmare. Scattered bones, torn tents, hastily scribbled notes. The ships, gone, as if swallowed by the ice itself. But it wasn't just Franklin's fate that haunted the Arctic. Other ships have also disappeared, abandoned, frozen mid-sail, masts rising from the fog like tombstones, crews missing. The logbooks cryptic or gone. It's as if the Arctic collects secrets. Imagine this. You're sailing calm, frozen waters. Then you see her, a ship gently drifting. No signal, no movement. You board her and she's empty. Food on the tables. Firewood stacked neatly. No signs of struggle, just absence. Like time itself stopped. The most infamous of these is the Baychimo, a sturdy cargo steamer owned by the Hudson's Bay Company. She was built to last, but she became more than a ship, she became legend. In 1931, the Baychimo got caught in early pack ice. The crew abandoned her, assuming she'd sink or be crushed. But she didn't. She escaped. On her own. For decades. Yes, decades. The Baychimo was spotted dozens of times drifting across the Arctic. People boarded her, salvaged what they could, but no one could keep her. She refused rescue. She was a ghost. Locals began calling her the ghost ship of the Arctic. Inuit hunters would see her from afar, mist curling around her hull. Sometimes she'd vanish the next day, as if she knew. In 1969, nearly 40 years after being abandoned, she was seen for the last time, off the coast of Alaska. Since then, no trace. The Arctic claimed her again. Why do these ghost ships haunt us? Maybe because they feel like puzzles frozen in time. We think of the sea as deadly, but at least it's alive. The Arctic, it entombs. And yet, some believe these aren't just natural disappearances. Theories swirl, strange ones, desperate ones. But not all can be ignored. Not when seasoned sailors vanish mid-breath. Let's talk about High Aim 6. Not an Arctic ghost ship, but eerily similar. Found adrift in 2003 in the Pacific. No sign of the crew. Coffee still warm in the pot. Radio silent. No distress signal. Authorities were baffled. Everything aboard was fine. Fuel full. Navigation on point. It was as if the crew simply stepped off. It echoed Arctic mysteries, raising one chilling question. Is something calling these men to vanish? Let's drift back to the north, to 1775. A whaling ship named Long Lost to History was found trapped in ice near Greenland. When explorers boarded her, they made a discovery fit for nightmares. The crew were still aboard, dead, perfectly preserved by the cold. One man was frozen at his desk, pen in hand, as if he'd been mid-thought. No wounds, no signs of struggle. Just death. The last log entry? May 11, 1762. No food for 24 days. I fear this is the end. But that was 13 years before she was found. 13 years. Science tells us the cold can preserve the dead, but it can't explain their vanishing. Nor can it answer how some ships drift for years or decades without being crushed by the ice. Let's pause, because this isn't just history. The Arctic is still alive, still taking. As recently as the 21st century, ships and planes have disappeared over the Arctic Circle. Navigation fails. Radio cuts out. Sometimes they come back, sometimes not. There's a theory, one you've heard before, that the Arctic hides something ancient, a magnetic anomaly, a vortex, or even a gateway. Too far-fetched? Maybe. But when compasses spin and GPS goes blind, even skeptics start to wonder. Sailors speak of the hum, a low-frequency sound they can't locate. Some say it drives men mad. Is it the wind, the groaning of ice sheets, or is it something older? Inuit legend speaks of Tornarsuk, a spirit that leads the lost away, never to return. And then there are the lights. Auroras that seem to move with intention, glowing curtains that pulse above ghost ships, dancers in the sky, pulling at the soul. In 2014, the Erebus was found, buried beneath Arctic waters, nearly intact, perfectly preserved, a century and a half after it vanished, as if the ice waited to give it back. 2 years later, HMS Terror was found too, but no crew, no clear cause of death. Their bones scattered miles from the wreck, as if something drove them out or lured them away. Autopsies later showed signs of lead poisoning. Was it their canned food or something else? Hallucinations, madness, paranoia. The Arctic doesn't just kill, it breaks the mind. So we're left with fragments, frozen time capsules, ships locked in ice, half-written logs, whispered myths, but no answers. Every ghost ship is a question, not just what happened, but why did no one survive to tell it? Not one journal entry, not one final call, just disappearance. Let's take a closer look at one forgotten ghost ship, the Resolute. She was abandoned in ice in 1854. A year later, she was found drifting 1,200 miles away, completely unmanned. Here's the twist. The ship was returned to the British, a political gesture. And when she was finally decommissioned, her timbers were used to build something symbolic, the Resolute desk, still in the Oval Office today. Yes, the president's desk came from a ghost ship, from a vessel that sailed herself home without a crew. If that doesn't chill your spine, what will? Some see the Arctic as a blank canvas, a void, but maybe it's more like a mirror, one that reflects back our deepest fears, our insignificance, our inability to control everything. Still, the Arctic draws us. Explorers, scientists, adventurers. They go north chasing something: fame, discovery, legacy. Some never return. What if the Arctic doesn't steal them? What if it keeps them, collects them like relics, preserves them like memories, ghosts in a frozen museum? Let's shift from legend to sound. Did you know? In 2016, Canadian military sonar detected a mysterious pinging noise in the Arctic seabed. Locals heard it too. Wildlife fled. No source was found. Some said it was submarines, others secret mining, but no one could prove anything. The sea floor offered no clues, just that sound, as if something beneath was trying to be heard. Scientists investigated. Equipment was deployed. Nothing. The hum stopped as suddenly as it came, like it knew. This wasn't new. Since the 1960s, both American and Soviet submarines reported unidentified submerged sounds beneath polar ice caps. Some even changed course to avoid them. It begs the question, what's under there? Ancient machines? Lost civilizations? Or something awake? One Inuit tale speaks of Kalopalik, a sea creature that drags people under the ice, a seductress with green skin. She doesn't kill, she collects, like the ice itself. Whether myth or metaphor, it fits. The Arctic doesn't leave bodies behind. It wraps them, preserves them, makes them part of itself, like bones under a glacier untouched for centuries. And when you realize how big the Arctic is, how little we've truly explored, the fear sets in. There's so much cold space for things to vanish into. The Carroll A.D. Earring, another ghost ship found in 1921 off the coast of North Carolina, abandoned. Arctic, of number, but similar. No crew, no lifeboats, no answers. They just weren't there anymore. Patterns emerge, cold places, isolated places, a sudden silence, a disappearance, a drifting husk. A ghost ship is a scream frozen in time. What scares us isn't the wreck, it's what's missing. The footsteps that stop mid-stride, the teacup still warm, the captain's log left open. Technology has changed, yes, but even now, satellites lose track of vessels, drones malfunction, batteries die in the cold, and the ice? It watches, patient. In 2021, a Russian vessel, Lev Yashin, went silent for 3 days, no contact. When found, the crew was safe but shaken. Their instruments had failed, all of them, for no explainable reason. One crew member, interviewed off-record, said something strange. It was like the sea didn't want us there, like something wanted us lost. Modern sailors still leave offerings, charms, prayers, coins, overboard ancient traditions. Because even in the age of GPS, we fear what the Arctic hides. And maybe the ghost ships are warnings, a whisper from history. Tread lightly. You are not in control here. We talk about the Titanic, but that was arrogance versus iceberg. The ghost ships of the Arctic, those are silence versus soul. And so the stories grow. Books written, films made, but none capture the feeling of stepping aboard a ship lost to time, where every board creaks with questions. They say time freezes in the Arctic, but that's not true. Time vanishes. That's why we find ships with clocks that still tick, long after the hands that wound them are gone. No ship haunts the ice alone. They drift, they wait, and in the distance maybe they whisper to each other lost stories, shared fates. And what of the ocean floor? Beneath the waves and ice lies a graveyard. Metal coffins, silent decks, and cargo that may never be recovered. Secrets locked in rust. Some say the Arctic is melting, receding, and with it, revealing. Soon more wrecks may surface. Bones, logs, maybe even answers. But be careful. The past doesn't always want to be found. Some wrecks return curses, not closure. In 2008, a team exploring a submerged Soviet vessel found human remains perfectly preserved. One diver later claimed the corpse had its eyes open, that they followed him. He never dove again. Was it trauma? Or did he see something we're not meant to? Buzz Whispers isn't here to solve these mysteries, only to echo them, to gather the whispers and bring them to you. Some say ghosts are memories trapped in places. If so, the Arctic is full. Let's ask again. Where did they go? The sailors, the captains, the passengers. They went north. They went silent, and they became part of something older than history. Maybe they found a hidden world. Maybe they died afraid. Or maybe they're still there frozen in time, listening to the ice groan overhead. One last story. A Norwegian fishing boat, 1997. Crew of 5. All vanished. Boat found drifting with food on plates. Music still playing. Dog on board alive, unharmed. No footprints in the snow. The last log entry. We see the light again tonight. It's closer now. That's all. We end where we began, in the deep silence of the north. The wind howls, the sky dances, and in the distance, a dark shape drifts, alone, waiting. The Arctic is a vault. It gives back only what it wants to, and sometimes it sends its ships home without their souls. Ghost ships aren't just nautical anomalies, they're reminders that nature keeps secrets better than we ever could. So, the next time you hear the ice crack or see the fog roll in, listen closely. The ship you see on the horizon, it may have no crew, but it's watching you. This has been Buzz Whispers. I'm your host, and tonight we chased whispers across the frozen deep. Until next time, stay curious, stay haunted, and don't look too long into the fog. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this journey, please hit subscribe, and I'll see you in the next episode.